Hello and welcome. In this tutorial, I'll give you some tips and techniques on how to quickly search Qucamba Report Wizards tables and how to add them as data items. I've already started Qucamba Reports and am currently on the page for the table selection in the Complex List Report Wizard. By the way, this particular page for the table selection is in every wizard. In the meantime, Microsoft Dynamics NAV has more than 1,200 tables. In the background, Qucamba Reports has analyzed these tables, and they are then immediately available for selection in a categorized list in the left pane. As a rule, when you connect Qucamba Reports to a customized database with new tables, then not only are the standard tables analyzed, categorized, and made available here, but naturally your custom tables as well. In many cases, the categorization can be very useful for selecting the tables. If, for example, you're sure that you want to include a master table in your report, you can expand this category and you get a relatively manageable number of tables to select from. There are naturally other categories, such as other tables, which include a very large number of tables, and as such, the selection of the right table can be somewhat more difficult. Another way to display the tables is without using a category. You just need to remove the check mark from the categorized box. Now all of the tables are displayed in sequence according to their ID. Next, let's take a look at one of my favorite features, the full text search. I often use this to find the right tables for my report. The full text search works across all the visible columns, the ID, name, and user caption. Naturally, the full text search not only works in the list view, but in the categorized view as well. I now want to find the Debitoren Posten tables. This is the German translation of customer ledger entry. So as I type the word post, you can see the number of tables below is reduced, with each letter I enter until finally only the tables containing the word post are left remaining. Typing in the first letters of the word ledger would bring about the exact same result. If I would like to further reduce the selection so that only post and Debitoren are left remaining, I use a space and then type Debi. And once again, if I use the space key and then type Cust, the result is the same. And as you can see, the selection of tables left displayed is accordingly also reduced. The tables left remaining are those tables which include the German words post as well as Debi and the English words ledge and Cust. In this way, the full text search can be used for an in-depth search using word fragments which are combined with a logical AND. What's decisive in this case is a blank space must be included between the word fragments to use a logical AND in the search query. If I want to delete this full text filter query, I just need to click on the red X. Then the current filter is discarded and all of the available tables are again displayed. If I want to perform a search containing a logical OR, for example, a selection of customers and vendors, I can do this as well via the full text search. So for our example, I'll again use Debitoren, the German translation of customer. When I enter this, only tables with this word are displayed. And now, alternatively, when I place a comma between the words Debitoren and Kreditoren, the German translations of customers and vendors, all tables containing either of these words are displayed. The key to this type of a search query is the comma, which signals a logical OR in the search. And of course, I can use the full text search to search for the IDs. Let's assume that I would like to include certain tables in my report whose IDs I already know. For example, 18, you see the customer table is displayed. Then I enter a blank space, then table 36, which gives me the sales header, and then again a blank into that table 112, which gives me the sales invoice header. A blank and table 114, and there I have the sales credit memo header. You've surely asked yourself what the setting with relation only is used for. Let's look at a short example. Suppose I want to include the customer table in my report. I can do this by double-clicking on it to apply it to the right pane. and with that it is now available for my report. Another possibility is to just click on the table to mark it and then use the Add button to apply it to the right pane. As you can see in the tooltip, I of course can also just use the F3 key to do this. The table is now available for our report, and so I can now utilize the With Relation Only setting. It works like this. First, you have to select the data item in the right pane for which you'd like to see all tables that have a relation to this table. Then place a check mark in the With Relation Only checkbox and remove the full text filter. By activating the filter above, I get all of the tables which have a relationship to the customer table, and I can easily select and apply any of these tables to my report by double-clicking or by means of the Add button. Here you can clearly see the new data item, the customer ledger entry, has been added below the customer, and it has been indented by 1. This means that for every customer, the customer ledger entry will also be included in the report. On top of that, Qucamba Reports has not only identified that the customer ledger entries are related to the customer, but accordingly, by indenting this data item and setting the data item link, it has linked them together and determined the optimal sorting level. This link ensures that for each customer, all corresponding customer ledger entries will be processed. Of course, this setting with table relations not only works with the first data item, but as well with every data item in the right pane that I select. When I click on the customer data item, we can see all of the tables here that have a relationship to the customer. And correspondingly, when I click the customer ledger entry data item, we can see all of the tables that have a relationship to the customer ledger entry. Let's take a look at some of the different methods of inserting tables as data items into a report. To demonstrate this, I'm going to remove the data items which I have already entered. To do this, I select the data item and then click on the Delete button or the F4 key to remove it. Let's assume that I want to create a report which includes the following tables. Table 18, the customer table, blank space. Table 36, Table 112, and finally the Table 114. I've again used the full text search to do this, and as before have entered a blank space between each ID to separate them. Now we just need to uncheck the With Relations box. Good. So I now want to individually select and apply the tables. As we've already seen, this can be done by double-clicking on the table or marking it and inserting it with the Add button. In this way, I can also mark and insert several tables at the same time. So again, for our example, I'll just remove these that I have just inserted. When I want to insert several tables, I can use the standard Windows method for inserting multiple elements. That means I can click and select a table, and then I press and hold the Shift key and then click on the last item that should be included. Accordingly, all of the tables in between will be selected and can be inserted together, either by using the Add button or the F3 button. As you can see, when I insert multiple tables, the relationship between the tables is immediately recognized, so that here the sales header and sales invoice header are accordingly indented below the customer table, and at the same time the link by which the corresponding data items are related to each other has been defined. That means I could now click on Next and proceed to the following page. So once again, I'll remove these data items so that we can take a look at another selection method. You can, of course, hold the Control key pressed to make the selection. To do this, you just need to click on the table to mark it, and then while holding the Control key, click on another table for your selection. All the tables within these markings will accordingly be selected. And with that, I can insert the data items by clicking the Add button or pressing F3 into the right pane with the same results, which means they will be listed in the same order as I selected them. The customer is recognized as the first data item, and below it the sales invoice and credit memo are inserted. One important thing to remember when you mark tables here by pressing the Control key, the order in which you do this will determine the sequence in which they will be listed. You've just seen that I've selected the tables from top to bottom. Now I'll do it differently. First I'll mark the sales invoice header, and then while holding down the Control key, the customer. When I do it in this way, then naturally the selection order is taken into account, and accordingly the customer is now listed below the sales invoice header. In this case, this would not work for our report, and as such I would highly recommend that in making your selection to pay close attention to the order in which you make it while pressing the Control key. The simplest way, which I normally use, when I know that the data item at the top is the first table I want to have in my report, is to click on it and then press the Control A to select all of the tables, and then I can apply them all in one quick stroke. You can see everything is there like it should be. The customer above, and then the customer information which we want to include in the report. That is the sales header, the sales invoice header, and the sales memo header. Okay, just one more tip. I'm going to remove the data items in the list here and then insert the tables again using a double click. When I do each table individually, you'll notice a small difference to when I inserted them all together as a group. The basic structure, the indentations, are exactly the same as before. The difference is in the third and fourth data items. In both of these tables, there is neither a sorting nor a link which has been set. This means that you won't be able to proceed to the next wizard step as the next button is disabled. This is because the indented data items have to have a data item link. Now you could of course change the properties for each of these data items, but actually that's not necessary. You just need to use the Qucamba Reports magic wand. The magic wand applies best practice criteria to set the properties of each data item with regard to linking and sorting preferences. However, you naturally have the possibility to manually change the settings of each individual data item by the property window too. This is the end of our tutorial on tips and techniques for searching for tables and ways of efficiently applying data items to reports. I hope you found it helpful. Make sure you check out our other videos about creating reports. Thanks for watching.